There is a strong link between the concept of nation branding and the concept of soft power. While nation branding aims to create a positive reputation to attract tourism, talent, and investment, soft power, on the other hand, looks externally on how a nation can wield culture and governance to shape the preferred actions of other international players. In this section, we are going to explore the concept of soft power to gain a deeper understanding of why nation branding is typically considered a form of soft power in contrast to the hard power represented by military and economic forces. The term soft power was coined by the American political scientist Joseph Nye in his 1999 book, Bound to Lead. During that time, international relations debates were dominated by the conventional view of the decline of American power. Scholars argued that the U.S. was suffering from an imperial overstretch and would eventually be surpassed by the Soviet Union in terms of military capacity and by Japan in terms of economic capacity. However, Joseph Nye looked beyond American military and economic resources and began to examine an alternative form of power. In his definition, there are clear differences between hard power and soft power. Hard power is the exercise of influence through coercion, relying on tactics such as military force, payments, and economic sanctions. Soft power, on the other hand, refers to the ability to affect others through the cooperative means of framing the agenda, persuading, and eliciting positive attractions in order to obtain preferred outcomes. In other words, soft power uses attraction and persuasion to change minds and influence behavior in the international relations. Its sources include culture, political values, and positive global engagement. In recent years, the changing international context has contributed significantly to the popularity of soft power as a concept. On the one hand, the idea of physically occupying and ruling over a country seems more difficult than ever in the current globalized world. In terms of the costs, the cultural means of achieving a country's objectives appear to be much more effective and viable than military actions. On the other hand, the global population has been empowered by advanced education, the liberation of political systems, and the spread and penetration of information to resist coercive intervention and trade sanctions. Soft power resources have been used in various contexts of international relations and world politics as a diplomatic instrument. Cultural diplomacy is an important way to build connections among different groups and help people understand the values and culture of a country. It is achieved through the exchange of ideas, information, art, language, and other aspects of culture among nations and peoples to foster mutual understanding. For example, popular Bollywood movies and music are prime examples of introducing Indian culture and traditions to the global audience. And now, because of the popularities of Korean pop culture, we all want to learn Korean languages. Education diplomacy is becoming an important tool for a nation to build its overall soft power. Other than learning the language, international students eventually become familiar with the host nation's scientific and cultural accomplishments. As a result, they are expected to effectively impart the language and culture of the nation where they had learned after returning home with new knowledge and interpersonal connections. Taking my own university, Oakland, as an example, ever since we signed the MOU with the Donghua University in 2021, We have been bringing students to Taiwan every summer in a group of 12 or 15 students. And during the period of 3 months, students would learn Taiwanese culture, the culinary arts, and becoming the cultural ambassador of Taiwan once they return to Michigan. That says a lot about the effectiveness of the educational diplomacy. Furthermore, governments began to see sports as an effective method of promoting national interest and projecting values and identity. Sports diplomacy represents both official and unofficial activities aimed at implementing the foreign policy objectives of a state by organizing, conducting, and participating in international sporting events. For example, the hosting of the 2022 FIFA World Cup has significantly improved Qatar's public image and global visibility. At other times, political leaders might use sports events for diplomatic purposes. I'm sure we all remember that during the 2022 Beijing Olympics, Chinese President Xi Jinping held bilateral meetings with numerous leaders from Russia, Saudi Arabia, Argentina, Poland, and many other countries. Finally, digital diplomacy is the latest addition to the toolbox of diplomatic instruments. It includes the use of digital tools such as websites, blogs, and social media to shape public opinion and global conversations. With the popularity of digital technologies, new types of collision and conflicts are happening in the international relations sphere, such as redistribution of power, digital interdependence, and weaponization of this misinformation. Meanwhile, there are also new policy topics in diplomatic negotiations, including cybersecurity, privacy, data governance, and generative AI. The concept of soft power has its limitations. Not only does soft power take a long time to cultivate, but it is also challenging to isolate multiple variables to measure the true effectiveness of soft power initiatives. In addition, the role of government in the process is also worth noting. As many statistics have shown, popular entertainment media content seem to have the most significant soft power influence, but the government tends to invest primarily in high culture and international news services. In the meantime, more discussions about soft power should focus on digital media rather than traditional media, as it is becoming the most effective diplomatic tool. Finally, in some authoritarian countries, the government has been implementing tactics traditionally considered soft power initiatives to control public opinion and influence foreign policies. This is where we begin to see soft power transforming into sharp power.